You're listening to the Oz TV podcast, only on the Oz Network.
Hi, this is Billy Garcia from Survivor Cook Island, and thank you once again for joining us on the Survivor Ghost Island recap here on the Oz Network. Today I'm joined by one of the legends of the game from one of, in my opinion, the best seasons of all time, Survivor Australian Outback, and that's Mitchell. Brother, it's always fun to be with you and to see you.
So great to see you, Billy, and thank you for saying that you loved our season. I think it was definitely one of the most watched for sure.
yeah, I agree. Record setting, if I remember.
Yes, exactly. It's good to see you.
Likewise. So how do you like Survivor Ghost Island this season?
Oh my God. So can we first just say that it gets to a point where, let's think back to my Survivor or even your own, and it wasn't that complicated. We had 16 people, 8 per team, and just vote until there's one remaining, and that was kind of just a bit. And back in my day, because season 2, we didn't even have immunity idols wasn't a thing. It hadn't existed yet. And so to throw in immunity idols, fake immunity idols, extra votes, all these different twists and turns, to be honest with you, as a fan of the whole franchise, that isn't my favorite part of what's happening now. I feel like it's making it a bit too complicated. We already have to memorize all these faces and names and everything else. Let's just make it simple and go back to the way it used to be. I mean, do you agree on any level, or am I completely crazy?
No. I think there's you and I both stand with a certain group of fans that are traditionalists, that we think the game has become too gimmicky, to where it's literally like, it doesn't matter if you have an alliance. It matters what you got in your pocket going into tribal council almost.
Right.
So, yeah, I feel you.
Yeah. So, I mean, that being said, great group of people, always great to watch, and it's always does well in the ratings. But I say bring it back to its roots and just pick 16 total strangers. There doesn't have to be a theme. It doesn't have to be old against young or rich against poor. Like, let's just pick 16 authentic, interesting people and let them vote each other off one by one. I guarantee you, if our season was the most watched season and we had no gimmicks, then I see no reason to try to spice it up, which is what I assume they're trying to do. I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I fear the day that we get the twist, the gimmick of like mole on left cheek versus mole on right cheek, and then I fear that day.
Right, something so stupid, so futile. I agree. I mean, Let's just keep it simple. It's a great premise. What do they say when you're pitching a new show of any kind? If you can explain the show in one, sentence, it could be a hit. So when I first learned about Survivor, which, was, gosh, how many, 20 years ago, probably at this point, I just remember somebody telling me, because I'd already done a bunch of game shows. I was on the Wheel of Fortune, The Price is Right. So I was like kind of a game show junkie. And somebody's like, you might like this show. It's about 16 people. They're on an island. They vote each other off until the last one stands, and they win $1 million. And I mean, that's a simple, easy, one-liner premise.
Yeah.
And it worked, and it works. So I don't see the need to try to spice it up with all these different, things that they did on this last season in particular. But, maybe they'll start to, make it more simple and kind of stop doing so many crazy things. I don't know.
Yeah, just to add to what you just said, it reminds me of this interview. I think it was on the TV Guide. This shows you I'm dating myself here. It was on TV Guide.
Is
magazine.
the TV Guide still out there? Does it still exist?
I have no idea. But it was Mark Burnett, and he summed up Survivor as incredible people on an incredible journey, making incredible television.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was so simple. And it
That's
worked.
it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all you need. Even these themes, they just don't. They're not necessary. I do think it's kind of cool when like they had like blood versus water, like stuff like that. Makes you think, ooh, I kind of want to watch that. But it's not necessary. Pick 16 people off the street and put them in this experience. And these ordinary people will become extraordinary. That's just how it works. It's a simple game of that. Just putting normal people in this environment will make them, like I said, extraordinary. There's no way around it.
I agree. I will say that this season had some great visual aesthetics. As far as like the tribal council set, where the booth where they vote was a great aesthetic. Ghost.
And how about that challenge last night? Holy crap!
Yeah.
When I saw the aerial view of it, I was like, that is amazing. Like any other. So. Things like that. I was like, this is like somebody has to sit down and really think this through and say, here's an idea. Yeah, I think that's pretty brilliant that they're able to still pull that off.
Yeah. I just, as a guy that wears a lot of skull shirts, I really appreciated that challenge.
I bet.
But all right,
you did.
Yeah. But all right, let's get into the recap.
Let's do it.
All right. So we start out in the traditional Jeff Probst in the studio in Los Angeles, and he showed us something unique in that usually they save the pre-booth for when they come out to celebrate with the winner. They were sitting out on the set, which is a nice difference. I noticed that Stephanie Johnson was missing, and it's all over social media, like this whole, why was she not there? Like there was no reason for her to be left out, and and most people know that you get an extra $10,000 to show up to this thing. So yeah, it was weird.
Right, they do get. Yeah, you're right. I forget about that. They give you money to go to that.
So yeah, so it was just weird that she didn't go, and it's still a mystery. I'm curious how that's.
Side note, do you remember when Richard Hatch tried to make CBS pay them like $100,000 to show up at the ending?
Yeah.
And he got like over half the cast to stick to their guns and say, we're not coming back unless you give us that. Like, I mean, that was pretty clever actually, because I feel like we all deserve it. They make a ton of money on that show.
Yeah.
But we went back to that finale for what, $10,000?
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't even got that if it wasn't for Richard Hatch and that whole half of the cast that included Jervis and several others. I forget who it was that crossed the line, but if it wasn't for that one person that crossed the line, he probably would have got the $100,000, and we would all have gotten that ever since.
Exactly.
So maybe it's better I don't remember who that is.
Right.
All right.
Exactly.
So we get into the episode, and Sebastian admits that he's been hiding behind the big boys. This is like his confessional here. He admits that he's been hiding behind the big boys, but that he's ready to play. This kind of foreshadows what's going to be happening next.
Okay, yeah.
Dominic and Wendell talk about the upcoming vote, And even though they would like to take out Donathan, they know like it's time to start working on taking out Sebastian. So it's almost this simultaneous thing where the two sides have almost figured out they got to go after each other.
You're right. And I guess there's no question Sebastian needed to be taken out. You know who drove me absolutely nuts? Like, I don't like him as a person, and that's so bad to say, but it's Donathan. Like, nothing about him impressed me. Is that bad? Am I like crushing dreams all across America? No, I just I felt, I don't know. He rubbed me the wrong way for some reason. He wasn't high on my list of contestants.
Well, you know, I'm someone that don't really look at his game because his game was kind of self-defeating.
Sure.
But I kind of looked at him as a character, and as a character, like he could read the phone book and I would be entertained. Like he just with that southern twang.
Well, you know, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right, and maybe that's how most people felt. You know, I just overall wasn't impressed with Donathan. I wasn't impressed with his personality. I wasn't impressed with his game. I guess of the final, it was 6 last night when we started.
Yeah.
Of the final 6, I mean, he was, for me, the last one on the totem pole. I would have tried to get rid of him first. I don't know. I mean, and maybe everybody else disagrees with me. It sounds like you seem to think he was great. I don't know. He rubbed me the wrong way.
All right, fair enough. All right, so we get into the immunity challenge, and it is this massive maze in the shape of a skull, which I totally love. They need to do more of that.
Yeah, it was great. It was really great.
I've been threatening to send Jeff Probst one of my famous skull shirts from that I wore on my season, just to get a picture of him at least holding it up or something.
Right.
But all right, so they go through this maze, and you was talking about Donathan. Donathan was basically trailing the entire challenge.
Yeah, he blew it. And when it comes to those challenges where there's a puzzle at the end, sometimes it doesn't make any difference at all how quickly you get to that end or to the puzzle, because the puzzle itself, which we'll talk about later with that pyramid, the puzzle itself can be so complicated that you could all be there at the same time or not, and it's gonna take a while. But it looked like to me that Wendell kind of has a knack for puzzles, right? I mean, it seems like that's kind of his thing.
Yeah, I've joked in the past on his podcast that it's because he's in the furniture business, so like he doesn't need the instructions for like IKEA furniture. He can just put it together.
That's right. He throws those out the window and he's like, I can do this. No, that's a worthy argument. I like that. Yeah, that was his thing. And to be honest, I don't know about you, Billy, but puzzles are not my thing. So I would have struggled at those particular games, and I think you probably also know that physical fitness is also not my thing. So, so yeah, I don't know if I could do it again, Billy.
I will say this. This is gonna sound crazy. When it comes to nautical themed puzzles, I can handle.
Okay.
Yeah. If it's got to float, I will make that son of a bitch float.
I like that. Okay.
But the one that we're gonna get to later, like the pyramid puzzle,
yeah,
I'd have probably kicked one of the pieces into the ocean.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yeah, there was some interesting things with that one too.
Yeah. So Wendell wins this immunity.
Yes.
And it's also a reward where they get to have steak. All the puns about the high stakes and
that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So he got to pick 2 people, and
he very strategically picked them, I think.
Yeah. You know, well, first of all, let's mention that it was Sebastian and Angela,
Mm-hmm.
and that made Laurel like go into flip mode. Like
very angry. Yep.
yeah. So let me hear what you think of the strategy behind taking Sebastian and Angela. What do you think the strategy behind?
Okay. I think that he already had Laurel in his back pocket, and he knew that, right? And
Right.
so, bringing on those two, Sebastian and Angela, I feel like, you know, they weren't nearly as connected to his particular camp as the others, and so I feel like he used it as a way to get to know them, to try to read their minds a bit, to try to. I think he even said it himself, possibly, where he thought, if I vote out Sebastian, I can still be the good guy. And I can still be the guy who's like, oh gosh, I hate that happened to you. But I still remember I brought you to have a steak, all that stuff. And then in the end, Sebastian will possibly on the jury vote for him, which I think he did. I didn't look through those very closely. But it was strategic, to say the least. If he had brought Laurel, and like people that he already kind of had a tie to, yeah, that wouldn't have been the smartest thing to do, to be honest.
I totally agree with you. And the phrase that comes to mind when he did this move was jury management, where he's essentially buttering up the jury so he could win their votes.
Yeah.
If he's going to sit next to Laurel, he doesn't need to butter her up.
Doesn't need to.
Yeah, he just needs her to believe that she's gonna be at the end. That's all.
Yeah, and isn't that weird? Like, I am one that did not make it to the jury, but like when you do, I guess you always have to think about that. You always have to think, what can I do to sway that jury in my direction at the end? Which, gosh, there's so many pieces happening and of this huge puzzle, and then you got to actually think about that too. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
it's a crazy game, isn't it?
It is.
That's why it's still around, I suppose.
yeah. So Sebastian cut some more confessionals, and he's feeling good about Donovan going home. Mm-hmm. However, he felt like it was his last chance to use his advantage that he had in the game coming up at that tribal council, where he has that extra vote. So, right. And he wanted to use it to make a big move against Donovan or Wendell.
Billy, did Sebastian ever even use that? He didn't even get a chance to, did he?
This is what we're getting into right here. This is when we get to we're about to get to that point. Before that happens,
okay.
Angela gets back to Donovan, and for whatever reason, I'm still not 100% sure, she blabs the entire plan to Dominic.
That's right. And
she tells him about the advantage, the extra vote, and that they're coming after him. And
right, and even Dominic was like, "What a loose cannon," So true.
So this whole thing comes back around at tribal council, where even though Dominic doesn't want to use his real idol, he has a real one and then a fake one with explicit instructions on the fake one that he's to use it to somehow gain power in the game.
Okay, so Billy, I'm glad you brought that up. He needs to use it to strategically trick somebody into thinking he has it. But this is where I was a little bit confused. Can he actually use it? Like bring it to Jeff Probst and say, here's my idol. Like in the end, how would that have worked? Would Jeff have been like, he did give me an idol, but it was fake. So any votes cast against him will still count. Like, is that how that would have worked? Like, I was like, I get trying to use it to trick somebody, but like actually sitting in tribal council, walking that fake idol up to Jeff and saying, here's my real idol, even though he knew it was fake and Jeff knew it was fake. Like, I didn't know. Maybe there was instructions and maybe the producers told him, but that all seemed a little bit weird to me.
Yeah, because Because what Dominic achieved at Tribal Council was he basically bluffed Sebastian into not using his extra vote, which made no sense in my opinion, because that was his last opportunity to use the extra vote. Yes. So he basically talked Sebastian down into using it, and then he handed the fake idol to Jeff before the votes were cast.
Yeah.
Which meant Jeff could not say anything about the idol at that point.
Okay.
He had to wait until after the votes were cast and then reveal that it's a fake idol and all the votes against Dominic will count.
That makes more sense now. Okay, I get that. So explain to me this extra vote. Who would Sebastian have put that extra vote toward, do you think?
If he could have convinced his people to stick to their guns and still vote Dominic and put the extra vote on Dominic, or, then he would have went out because it was a fake idol. Or he could have used his 2 votes to split, put 1 vote on one person, put another vote on another person, and then if all the votes on Dominic go out, the worst that'll happen is that he's tied 1-on-1 with that somebody else.
Okay.
So that's 2 different ways of using it. He could have picked one or the other. He chose neither. He kept it in his pocket.
And you're saying that was his last chance to use it?
Yes. He specifically said in his confessional that was his last chance to
that
use
was really dumb on his part.
It was, he got bluffed to the point that he just didn't think it. He didn't think.
Right. Shoot. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, this all comes back to why are we complicating things?
Yeah.
Let's just vote. Everybody gets 1 vote. There's no idols. There's no any immunity. Like, I mean, if you win a challenge, good for you. You get immunity for that. But nothing further, that's what I think, and maybe I'm being old-fashioned, and maybe everybody else disagrees with me, but that's how I feel.
All right. So after all of that I just explained, and this whole advantage not being played, fake idol being played, all this stuff, Sebastian gets voted out, and he didn't take it well.
No. He sure
didn't take it well. Yeah.
I don't think I would have either, though. But no, yeah, he didn't take it well, and gosh, he was definitely a threat, though. So it made sense for them to pick him. But he had options. I don't know. He kind of blew it himself. I don't pity him, I guess.
He got, in the words of Richard Hatch, he got bamboozled.
Oh, Richie.
All right.
I do love Richie. I get to see him in a few months. We're gonna have lunch.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Send my regards.
What's that?
Send my regards.
I will. I thought you said keep up your guard, which is also true. in a lot of ways. even gay related, like, oh boy. You gotta be careful around him.
All right, so the next day we right away go into another immunity challenge, and this one they go through an obstacle course, collect puzzle pieces, and this is the pyramid one. This is the one that we were talking about. It's only 4 pieces.
Very
and it was
awkward, odd pieces, and they use the word pyramid. And as you probably saw afterward, it was who was it who was complaining and saying, I kind of thought that maybe the pyramid would have a flat top.
That was Dominic, yeah.
That was Dominic. It was dumb. And yeah, I mean, when you say just pyramid, that's it's tough. And the puzzle pieces were quite different and unique. So
maybe Dominic in his mind pictured like one of the Aztec step pyramids, which have a flat top. Like the Pyramid of the Sun in Mexico, right?
Right, like unfinished. like a lazy pyramid, like a lazy Egyptian unfinished.
Yeah,
so, I don't know.
So once again, our puzzle genius here, Wendell, wins.
Wendell in his underpants. And can I just point out one thing, Billy?
Sure.
When we were on Survivor, and I think you can agree with me, that wasn't a thing. We didn't wear our underpants. We had shorts, we had swim trunks, we had whatever, but we didn't just wear pants, underpants.
Right. Unless your name was Richard Hatch, and then you wore nothing.
Yeah, you are right. Like, maybe he's the trendsetter here, but we in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years, it's like you can't keep these people in clothes. They're wearing their underwear all the time, and I don't know.
On one season you had Max and Sharon completely bottomless. You remember? Yeah.
Well, I've even posted on Facebook like our group picture of our season, and then like the group season picture now, and like everybody's got their top, all the guys have their top off, all the girls are in bikinis, but when you look at our season, everyone was fully clothed. And I think, you know, that just goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's like when it comes to even complicating things and adding all this stuff to it, like, let's keep it simple, and let's be ordinary people. We don't all have to have a six-pack. We don't all have to, you know, be the hottest girl or the hottest guy. Let's just, you know, wear clothing, be real. And so that's just kind of another, I don't know, a side note and argument. And I'm sorry to keep taking our interview down other rabbit holes that you weren't probably expecting. But yeah, I don't know. Wendell, he wore those boxer briefs very well. But again, is it necessary? I don't know.
Well, all right. So
you're like, now where do I go? I'm sorry, I gave you a segue to nowhere.
Nowhere.
Tell me what we were talking about before, and I'll help.
Well, Dominic considered taking Donathan, who always wore his clothes, to the final four.
Thank God, by the way.
He considered taking him to the final four because he's weaker at challenges than Laurel.
Yep.
But I kind of get the feeling that Dominic likes to just waive his options and his confessionals, and not necessarily something that he's even really like 50% on or 40% on. It's just I get a feeling like he likes to mention every single possible option,
sure,
as a way to make for an interesting confessional.
Yep.
Because
I agree.
In this case, after Laurel kind of admits that she was feeling pressure that night, and Dominic was basically going to play his hidden immunity idol anyways at this point, because that was his last time to play it.
Sure.
Wendell had one immunity. Basically, all the votes were pretty much locked in to where it was Donathan.
Yep.
And the interesting part of what would have been a very meh tribal council is that Wendell plays his idol that was the Eric Reichenbach idol immunity necklace that they turned into a hidden immunity idol.
Uh-huh.
And he plays it on Laurel as a way to say that I'm loyal to you. You're not going anywhere.
Sure. Yep.
And again, this was like massive foreshadowing of what was to come.
You're right. So, okay. So, we're on, just so I know that we're on the same page. So, Wendell wasn't going anywhere because he had already won immunity, right?
Correct.
And so he had that idol that he only had one chance now to use. Like,
yeah,
couldn't have used it next time or whatever.
Exactly.
I found that to be a brilliant piece of the whole puzzle. And so, you know, here I've been arguing how, you know, sometimes keep it simple, blah, blah, blah. But that really upped the game for me and made me kind of more excited because I was like, okay, he knows what he's doing. He could have just let that idol die. He could have given the idol to somebody else that doesn't matter. In his head, he was like, I'll bet I'll be in that final three with her. And what better way to absolutely secure her vote than to say, listen, because he'd already kind of pissed her off a few times.
Yeah.
The whole steak thing and everything else. So that was kind of his chance to be like, listen, we're still good. We're still okay. And that was a really brilliant move. And so overall, like I said, I'm bashing the whole fact that they have all these different things that to complicate the game, but that was one of those things where I was like, okay, that was a good move, and I liked it. Like that sucked me in a bit.
Yeah. It sucked Laurel in.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that.
And Billy, put yourself in her shoes. Wouldn't you kind of feel the same way if you were like, wow? And looking back, she didn't need it. Remember, like she didn't need that immunity idol. Because exactly. I don't think anybody, maybe one person, I don't think anybody really voted for her. But like, it was, again, he probably knew that too. It was just his way of saying, we're good, right?
Yeah.
That was smart. That was smart.
Yeah, and I think even though it played out better than he had anticipated, I think the way he anticipated was she's won immunity in the past. She wanted to make sure that she was going to pull him, and because the whole twist of in modern day Survivor is that whoever wins that final immunity, you pull one and the other two face off and fire.
Right. Right.
So I think he was playing that in that way as a way in case she won, he would be the one she would pull in, but it worked out even better than he anticipated.
Right. Billy, can I ask you a question about that for just a second?
Sure, of course.
So, okay, the fire thing. They were talking about that fire before it even happened. Now, you and I both know that Survivor doesn't necessarily stick to any particular tradition or rule, right?
Right.
So I was almost a little bit annoyed when they were talking about, who can build the fire better, let's practice, blah, 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 blah. Why on earth is Survivor and CBS feeling the need to keep that tradition alive when they could have easily pulled a, hey, reach in the bag and grab a purple rock, whatever, remember that happened?
Right, yeah.
Why on earth are they sticking so true to that, even though I love that whole, like, let's see this fire burn until their flag pulls up and all that. But why on earth are they making that like a go-to tradition when, and do you think the producers pulled them aside and said, listen, we're sticking with that plan? Because if I was playing the game again today and I came down to that final, I would say, hey, I'm not banking on the fact that they're going to follow the tradition of we're going to build a fire and whoever can build it first, blah, blah, blah. I would be like, hey, they can pull whatever hijinks they want, and they will. So why is that such a go-to? Like that, in a weird way, that kind of threw me off a little bit, and I thought, I don't get it. I don't know. I don't understand why that's so set in stone.
I think Survivor does this once in a while where they'll set something in stone and then one season they'll pull the rug out from under them. A la Tony and Wu, who that was a season where they didn't have a final three. They pulled the rug out from under him and it was a final two. So it was set in stone up to that point for a long while that it would be a final three at the end, and then that was the one season that it wasn't.
Right.
And now, so I think that's what they're doing. They're setting this up to where several seasons in a row, there's going to be, the final four. You pick one, the immediate winner picks one, and the other two face off in a fire challenge. and then one season in the future they're gonna scrap that, and it's gonna totally throw off some people.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they do it.
Well, I mean, I'm glad we have this chance to talk about that, because I was just a little bit taken aback by the fact that the contestants were so convinced that this was how it was going to be. And for me, even if I was like Jeff Probst or Mark Burnett, I feel like if I saw the contestants so convinced about it happening one way, oh my gosh, that would be my chance to be like, all right, we're changing it up. It's no longer that. We're seeing how far you can throw a football. I don't know. So it surprises me a little bit that is set in stone. I don't know. It just makes me a little bit shocked about that.
Yeah. I think in a future season, likely in a returning player season, they're gonna pull the rug out from under them and do something different.
Right. Right, and rightfully so. In this game, they've made it clear from day one, you don't know where we're going next. You don't know what our plan is. We have all of you here. We're voting one of you off right now. Like, remember that happened? Oh, the poor girl.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what our plan is, and that's how we like to keep it. So why would there be this one thing that was always the same? For some reason that stuck with me last night.
All right, fair enough. So Donovan gets voted out.
Yeah.
And then they cut to the live studio where Jeff talks to Donovan. So when he did that,
Weird too.
At this point, I was like, crap. They warned us that they were going to do something with Kevin Hart. Now he's going to take up a crap load of time. If they're doing Donovan now. That means Kevin Hart's going to eat up a crap load of time. I was like, crap, damn.
Right, with this game show. Yes, I agree.
So when we get back into the episode, it's the final immunity challenge. And it's a classic one where they have to stand on this wobbly platform, I guess, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And they stack up these balls, six of them high, and if you can stack them up and they stay, and you touch the backboard, then you're the winner.
Right.
And there was a ton of lead changes. The wind was blowing especially hard. So I bet you they picked the windiest beach to have this on.
Very smart. Yes, I agree. Well,
So
fan on. I'm right here. That was. I liked it. I liked that particular challenge because I like when the leader can change so often like that.
Yeah.
Like for me, that's how it needs to be. But yeah, that was a good challenge.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yep.
And Dominic wins the final immunity, which, it's been the complaint going for a while now, and it continued on through this episode, that it's been the Dominic and Wendell show, and sort of the immunity wins kind of personified that whole notion.
Right. Now, what would have happened if it wasn't Dom who won that? I think about that a lot too, because gosh, I think he would have been probably on the chopping block, right?
Yeah, I think he would have had let's say Laurel or Angela would have won.
Yep.
I think both of them would have took Wendell, and then Dominic would have had to make fire against whoever the other woman would have been.
I agree.
Yeah. So the interesting difference here is that instead of going back to camp, they all had to go to Ghost Island.
Yes.
For the final Ghost Island twist. And after Dominic tried to get a feel for who should he pit against Wendell in a fire-making challenge, Wendell kind of knew the writing on the wall because he'd have done the same thing.
Right.
So yeah, there was no mystery there. But after all of that, then Dominic had to go and pick from 3 urns, and to sort of break the curse of those 3 urns and one of those urns was from your season.
Ah, yes.
They had to,
Yes.
I was hoping
I
they
was
would
a
have
little
picked
bit
that.
surprised and upset that they didn't pick it.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a really interesting, particular twist in our season that, Colby, he, gosh, she had to know that picking her was not the right thing. And, I think it was Keith was his other option,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And
the
that
cook
would
who couldn't make rice.
the chef who was terrible at chefing. So yeah, that was an interesting take on our particular season. I don't know if you know this. Do you know that they okay, there are two major rules in Survivor, and they are no splitting the money or any discussion of collusion or anything like that with the money, and no physical contact, like beating each
Altercations,
other.
yeah.
Yes,
No physical
yes.
altercations, yeah.
And maybe rules have changed since I was on, which was years ago, but those were two very hard and fast rules that were in our contracts that were like, there's no collusion, there's of splitting the money, and there's no physical fitness, there's no physical beating or trying to harm another. And in our season, Colby and Tina had agreed to buy the winner would buy the runner-up a Harley.
Wow.
Yeah. And
wow.
in the end, that's how it went down. And I remember Colby being upset because the Harley didn't have all the bells and whistles that he wanted, and it wasn't as it wasn't
Oh wow.
Yeah, it was kind of just kind of a standard Harley, kind of on the cheaper end, brand new, but like just didn't have everything. And I just remember there was some anger about that, which is funny. But that was their way around the whole collusion of splitting money. Like, I'll buy you a Harley. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah. So gosh, there was a reason why I brought this up, wasn't there, Billy?
I don't know, but I'd have been happy if the winner would have bought me like dinner. Like, just buy me dinner. I basically gave Yule, like sent Yule to Exile Island on my own, and he found a hidden immunity out of there, and he never played it, but he used it to manipulate, and that's how he won.
Really?
And I'm like, buy me dinner, man. Come on. Take me to McDonald's. I'll take that. Give me a coupon.
Right. Well, this ending came down to, there must have been something with this ending that made me think of that story.
Well, they were breaking the curse of the urn, which is where we started.
Yes, thank you. That's what it was. So the urn, yes. If Colby had picked Keith, he would have been in the clear, 100%. It probably would have been every single vote for Colby and none for Keith. But he went down that road of loyalty, which you gotta say, good for you. But loyalty of I'm sticking with my guns here, and I'm picking Tina because we said we would bring it to the end here. And hey, worst case scenario, I get a Harley. So stupid. So yeah, that was where that whole story came from. Sorry to sidetrack there.
No, it's all right. So Dominic ended up picking the urn of Tony and Wu.
Yep.
Feeling he wanted to break Wu's curse of bringing the right person to the end.
Right.
Yeah. So, all right. So they go to tribal council, and they discuss the Laurel kind of gives away or puts it out there that Dominic wanted to take Wendell out and use one of the women, the be the fire maker to take Wendell out.
Right.
I think Laurel was trying to blow up Dominic's game, but I didn't see it as blowing up his game at this point. Like,
no,
of course he's trying to do this. Like, he's trying to win.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, exactly.
So I didn't think it was this big deal that Laurel was trying to make it out to be, but I guess she was trying to build some kind of resume. I don't even know how that builds a resume.
And right. And Billy, in your mind, because I did this, because I don't know, are you superstitious?
No. The closest I come to being superstitious is that I think it's bad luck to get shot with a bullet.
In the head.
Yeah, especially in the head. I think it's really bad luck.
Yeah, that's awful luck. Good point. I put myself in Wendell's shoes last night, and I was like, okay, if he had sat at the table he was supposed to sit at to build that fire, would it really have made a difference?
You know, if he's as superstitious as he came off as,
yeah,
it's possible it could have weighed on his mind and it could have slowed his movements down.
Maybe.
That's why,
and that's why, you know, with this game, it makes me so frustrated sometimes because I'm like, I wish we could replay that with him in that chair.
Yes.
See how that would have panned out.
Yeah. See, I was upset with Angela.
He was adamant, and you're right. Angela was like, I don't care.
That was the totally wrong move. Because if you have an advantage, keep it.
Mm-hmm. Keep it.
It doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter what the advantage is. If you have the advantage, keep it. Use it. Doesn't matter what it is. And if it doesn't pan out, it doesn't pan out. But just like the whole Eliza stick thing. Eliza knew the stick was not a real idol, but she played it anyways because that's what she had. She played it anyways.
Right. Gosh.
So,
that stuck with me for a little while because I'm like, I don't know, like, would that have made a difference if he was in that other chair? I don't know.
I think he's so superstitious that it would have weighed on him.
Yep.
And even if it didn't slow him down, maybe as soon as like the first fire went out, he just might have thought, oh, it's the chair, it's the color, and he would have defeated himself.
Right.
Because quicksand is something the quicksand effect is something that's real on Survivor, where once you're in the figurative quicksand, the more harder you try, the quicker you sink.
Sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I totally would have had him sit in the chair he was most afraid of.
Yeah.
We were talking about Richard earlier. You know Richard would have been like, your ass is staying glued into that seat. Can we get some more orange in this tribal council? That would have been Richard Hatch.
Yes, it would have. Wow. Yeah, my mind is kind of blown up here because boy, you're so right. I don't know how it would have played out if things were different. Like, that's a tough one. That is a tough one.
Yeah, he was superstitious, so
very.
Yeah. So Angela made the wrong move. She never really got going in her fire making. She got eliminated and sent to the jury. And
right.
So we do the sort of traditional thing of breakfast. They kind of run through it because it's I'm pretty sure nothing really happened at that point.
Right.
So we'll jump to the final tribal council, where first of all, what do you think of the new format where they don't all go up one at a time, where it's kind of a discussion? Everybody talks.
I saw that and I thought, is that new this year?
No. This is like the 4th season, maybe. I'm thinking, yeah, it sounds right. Like the 3rd or 4th season.
Billy, I prefer everybody having their chance to literally say, here's my reasoning, or here's my question, or here's my statement. And I can see where CBS probably looked at it like, let's make this more conversational. Let's make this more of a I don't know, like we're all sitting down for family dinner and let's decide who's going home and why.
Who gets the biggest piece of chicken, right?
Right. And so, I don't know. I watched that, and I kept thinking, is this the best way to do it? And why? And
well, the when Jeff Probst first introduced this back in Game Changers, I believe,
okay.
he mentioned that they were having a problem with some of these questions that they became very generic. What are you going to do with the million type questions? And there was basically some people that had nothing to add.
Okay.
And the people that had some great points, like they would make their point and then leave, and we would hear nothing more of those points.
Okay.
So this was really like his way, or not his way, but the show's way of putting the people that have, something good in the forefront, and putting the people that have nothing to add to basically, step aside, or maybe just to give them something to think of.
But Billy, doesn't it also allow for the Chatty McChatterson to give their 2 cents more than once, right? Like it doesn't stop anybody from saying, well, here's what I also wanted to say, or here's what I also have a question about. Like,
well, Jeff is there. He could just say, all right, let so and so speak, or he can just shut that person up, especially if they're going nowhere with it.
Shut it down. You're right, but
yeah.
Let's think about this. When we did it our way, and when you did it, you were the same as me. Yeah. Everybody had one chance to ask a question, to give a statement, to, I don't know. For some reason, that makes more sense to me than a conversation that could easily turn into tons of follow-up questions. Like, I don't know if that's the right way to go. Maybe it comes down to the Miss America in me, because I'm a judge for the Miss America system, and the girls get that one onstage question,
right,
usually 10 points, and we do a 13-minute that doesn't happen on stage, 13 minutes of just conversation with the judges, asking anything they want, where you can add follow-up questions and all that. But that's where you really get to know the girl. This one onstage question doesn't really do anything for you. So, so maybe this is the way to do it, where you have that chance for a follow-up, where if they answer your question and you're not satisfied, you can say, I need more. I need more from you.
Which happened in this tribal council where you had Desiree say, yeah, I'm not going to vote on you based on a conversation about music.
Right.
I need something more.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because when I watched it, I was like, gosh, is this brand new that they do it this way? But it sounds like they've been doing it for a few years. And yeah, it I guess it kind of makes sense to me. It works.
Yeah, I think what it's done is it's given the players a chance to maybe focus on less on external things, like talking, or even the viewers watching at home, less on the external stuff, like the backstory. My dad left me when I was a kid, and
Yep.
and that sort of stuff, and more focus on what game related did you do.
Right.
Because when somebody tries to take it away from that, like
Mhm.
how Wendell tried to do, where he tried to say, okay, I did all these things around camp. I built seats so you guys could sit. I built this and that. So somebody came in and interrupted. Yeah, we're talking about the game here. So
right.
So yeah, I can see how that's evolved and how they wanted it to evolve to this point. And I'm sure there's going to be an even better version that they'll come up with down the road.
Yeah, Billy, I wonder. I do. I wonder if they like we've been talking about, they've been making changes. They've been keeping certain traditions that maybe they shouldn't be keeping, like the fire starting. And yeah, it really makes you wonder if that's the route to go or the way to go. I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I questioned that last night. I was like, well, this is very different. You don't get one chance. I think back to, and I'm sure you've watched it a few times, but Richard Hatch's moment, and wasn't it Greg who went up there and said, pick a number between 1 and 10?
Yeah.
I mean,
basically that's how Richard won. Yeah.
Yeah, and those, for some reason, to me, those moments, I like them. I think
Okay.
I think that's the way to go. You get one chance to make a statement. You get one chance to ask a question. You get one chance. This isn't a let's go back and forth and have a discussion. This is a what do you want to say one time? I don't know. It makes more sense to me in a weird way. In a game show style kind of way, it makes more sense to me.
Fair enough. So there were basically two major points that were brought up at Tribal Council.
Okay.
One of them was who pulled the alliance together, because Wendell had one story, and then he got cut off by of all people, Donovan, and then they kind of put up hands. Who got pulled in by Dominic, and there was a surprisingly large number of hands that raised, and then the other big thing was Sebastian making this big deal about how he went out, and even though Chris, who was Dominic's main rival, gave him respect, and so did Michael, it felt like Sebastian was almost the classic cliche bitter juror. He was very bitter about, even though he admitted readily that he was going to use it to take out Dominic, and that was okay. Use his advantage to take out Dominic, but it wasn't okay for him to get bluffed out of using it with an idol that was basically the letter on the idol said to use it in that manner, in the fake idol, but he wasn't okay with it. So it felt like classic bitter juror in that. He's kind of hypocritical. It was all right for him to make moves against that guy, against Dominic, but not all right for Dominic to make any moves against him.
Right. Wow. Yeah, Billy, I'm glad that you brought that up because that's an interesting twist in a lot of ways, don't you think?
Yeah, I think that notion of the people who all sided with Sebastian kind of is where we ended up getting what happens next, which is where the vote went. And before I mention how the vote went, I'll say they went to vote, and to everybody's shock, including my own sitting at home, Jeff Probst decides to pull a Borneo. Pull a Borneo and read the votes right then and there.
Right? Because he knew.
Yes.
He had something up his sleeve, which now, looking back, we know. But, wow, wasn't that a shocker? Even the people sitting there, the jurors and everybody else were like, what?
Yeah, great money shots.
Yeah. So, remind me with your season. Our season, it came down to 2, Tina and Colby. And that was the first time they wrapped it up, and they said, we'll talk about this in LA at the finale. And so we didn't know, although we talked. And we all discussed it, and we all had a feeling, as long as we were all being honest with our votes, we knew who won, right?
Okay.
So that's kind of how it went down for us. Now, with your season,
we were the first season with the final 3.
3. Okay.
We were the first season. Okay. And it was Becky, Ozzy, and Yule.
Oh,
and
right.
And of course, like you said, we all talked, but there was a lot of people that were feeling pressure, not to tell the truth. So
sure.
There was maybe there was two jurors at most that told the truth about their vote.
Okay.
So we all thought going into the finale that Ozzy won in a landslide.
Sure.
And just the opposite was true. Yule won by 1 vote. He had 5. Ozzy had 4. Becky had none. and the shock on Ozzy's face became a meme for a while. But I think that shock is probably gonna pale in comparison to the shock of all these jurors with the reading of the votes right then and there. And the way it played out was the first 5, if I'm correct here, I hope I got this right. The first 5 people on the jury voted for Dominic, and the last 5 people sent to the jury voted for Wendell.
Right.
And
Okay.
so Wendell's late game jury management garnered him those 5 votes. That's how it played out. Yeah,
Oh
we were
my
talking
God.
about all that foreshadowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Jeff reveals the big shock that, all right, the third person in this equation who didn't get any votes now becomes a member of the jury, which I'm going to ask you a question about this in a second here. And she has to cast a single vote, and then that vote would be read in Los Angeles. Here's my question. Now, we both know that there's a jury bonus. She's now a member of the jury. Did she get the jury bonus? Do you think she deserves it? I think she deserves it. She cast the vote.
Right.
That's big money right there.
That is. That's big money.
If I was her agent, I'd send the bill.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Oh my gosh, Billy, that is all really interesting stuff. Gosh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in, which is kind of the theme of this episode. It's a lot to take in.
Let it sink in. Yeah, gosh, I love
We
this.
got a season in one episode, basically.
Yes. I gotta say, because I think I even mentioned to you earlier in the week that I haven't been as loyal with this particular season as other seasons, and when I sat down last night and I hit play and I watched that entire episode, 2.5 hours until they really revealed who won, I was sucked in. I really was. I was on board in every way. Like I said, I disliked certain people. I loved certain people. I was really, really, really on board in a big way. So again, I know we're not done here, but I just want to thank you for asking me to do this because I watched that episode and I was like, yeah, this is great TV. I don't care how complicated or convoluted or what it may be, but this is great TV to watch all of this happening. I am on board. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So it was great. So thank you again I appreciate that.
My pleasure, brother. So Jeff Probst does his whole walk through the audience with the urn.
Yeah.
And for the first time ever, he's only got one vote to pull out, and you can even see it like dating back to when Jeff left. Dominic's face to when they arrive at L.A. Dominic's face still has that shit I lost look on his face. And he just had it. It was great. I mean, I'm a fan of Dominic. I love the way he played.
Yeah.
But just his expression was it's a money shot. It's a classic Survivor money shot. So they reveal the vote, and of course, Laurel, she basically got weaned into that vote courtesy of Wendell. And,
right.
And he becomes the third African American ever to win Survivor, and only the second African American, along with Earl. Vecepia was the female African American. So a little bit. Yes.
I love it. I love it because I keep thinking of I hear these names. I'm like, that's right. Yeah. How completely and totally interesting. I'm so glad you're bringing that up, Billy. That's so true and crazy. Yeah. I love
some great statistics is gonna come out of this episode, but it's gonna take a while to dissect because like we both mentioned, this had a lot in it. And to be honest, this is my longest recap of the season. Like,
sorry.
We've been going for a while. No, it is. It's just the episode. So much happened. This is literally the longest recap. There were some
So much
episodes where
happened.
the recap portion of the podcast lasted about 15 minutes.
Well, Billy, but you're right. There were so many elements that all came together that, like I said, I sat there and I watched it all, and I thought, gosh, this particular episode stands alone. It stands alone.
Yes.
You know how they say, there's certain TV shows where you kind of got to keep watching, like what is it, Westworld? Have you seen that?
Right, yeah.
Where you got to kind of keep watching all the way to be able to keep up. This episode, if you were new to Survivor, you had never seen an episode ever, and you sat down last night to watch that 2.5 hour until the reveal, or 3 hour total, you would be highly entertained.
Yeah.
No question. Highly entertained. And you look back and you say, why wouldn't they continue to create and air new episodes of Survivor when you can sit down and watch one episode and be completely enthralled instantly? And that's how it was for me last night. I was enthralled instantly. So
yeah, this is an episode.
Kudos to Mark Burnett, to Jeff Probst, to everyone.
Oh yeah.
Like, seriously.
This is an episode that I would show like non-fans to make them a fan.
Yes. Yeah. There is no reason not to completely love what happened last night. Like it was a brilliant form of a reality show. It was great.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, all right, here comes our segment of the show where we rate the episode. No, it's okay.
I've overtaken this whole thing, so sorry about that.
No, it's all right. It's all right. It's time to rate the episode, and I think we both know where we're going with this.
Yep.
We either buy it, rent it, or bin it.
Totally buy it.
Yeah.
Right?
Not only will I buy this episode, this is one of those episodes that I would, like I said, I would have non-fans watch.
Right.
So they could become fans of the show. So I would buy it and give it away.
Right.
Buy some more to give out.
Right. Billy, I can see myself watching this episode over and over and picking up new things and picking up different conversations and scenarios and yeah, there's no question this is a absolute buy it situation.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. So we get to the portion here of our podcast where we get to our listener viewer questions. And to my pleasant surprise, this has been the last 4 or 5 guests have each one been record breaking in the number of questions that we received for them. So you just reset the record, then Sunday broke it, and now you break Sunday's record. Oh. All right. So we start with one of our regulars here on the Oz Network podcast. He and I were reviewing Cobra Kai, which is the new spin-off series of the Karate Kid. So he, which I love, by the way. That's
Do you? I haven't jumped in yet, but I hear great things. So
yes,
I'm ready.
You got to check out Cobra Kai. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So his comment here is he just wanted to add that for the Survivor finale recap, it was ranked in his bottom 3 all season. The season was, but then up until the last 3 episodes, then now he's changed his mind in the last 3 episodes. That this puts it up there with him with Palau and some of the early seasons.
Right.
And he thought that it was fitting that the deciding vote came down to Wendell successfully playing an idol for Laurel that was basically securing the vote. And it was the Eric Reisenbach reversed that curse of Eric Reisenbach took that necklace off, gave it to Natalie Bolton, and ended up costing him $1 million. Now for Wendell, he plays that, gives it to Laurel, and he wins $1 million. So
wow.
that was the theme of the season, wasn't it? So
yes,
it was ironic. It was.
Yes,
it was like, well, yeah.
You are correct. Wow.
Well,
wow.
Colin is.
I love it.
Thank you, Colin. All right, so Danny says, as much as he loves the new jury format, this is basically one half of them was not even speaking at all, and he felt like the editing was bad in that sense. I think you were talking about that earlier. What do you think?
Okay. Yep. No, I agree. I saw, maybe you saw this too. I saw a post today from our friend who also goes to the Cincinnati event. And he was, gosh, help me think of his name. Big, long beard guy.
You're talking about half the people that go to the Cincinnati event.
No, this guy has like a beard down to his ankles. Like that. What's his name? He lives there. He lives.
Is it Ronald?
No,
he's one of our bearded people.
He lives in Cincinnati. Like he lives there.
But all right.
Anyway, the point is, he posted a picture today where he was sitting alone, or the jury apparently was like in the audience, or not the jury, the non-jury. Remember?
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah, that's Matt Bishop. He played.
Matt Bishop. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh crap, I do remember that happening where they really treated the non-jury terribly. And
yes,
I guess it was I guess that was his season where they were like, we don't care about you. We're going to stick you in the way, way, way back and not even like talk to you. So, I don't know. It seems like CBS always has a different version of how they're going to handle that particular ending. And the way they did it this time, I don't know. I was on board. I thought it was okay. I thought it worked.
Yeah, my take is that they were kind of making space for the Kevin Hart thing. So and no offense, he's a funny comedian. It looks like an interesting show, and this is clearly a pay the bills move by Survivor. But I kind of wish they'd have got their money another way. I would have liked that time allocated to the show, whether it's to add more to the final tribal council or to add to speaking to more people post in the reunion show, post episode in the reunion show. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely correct on that one, Billy.
Yeah. So Melinda Shorty, she wonders if they get another final tribal council tie the next time, like Jeff Probst says he's going to read the votes at tribal. Everyone's going to know that it's a tie and there's no drama. So I guess she wants to know, like, she hopes that it's going to be like done differently. She hopes there's some sense to this. Like, what do we think? Like, should they handle it differently every single time? Should this just be a one-time thing where Jeff will surprise everybody? I'm going to read the votes now.
Okay.
And then the next time maybe have the one person cast the vote. Have this read at the reunion and have the one person cast the vote right there. Like just stand up and say it or just write it, whatever.
Right. Billy, again, that's a great question. Like,
thank you, Melinda.
Right. Thank you, Melinda. Great question. I think the way that they did it this time made total sense because of the fact they had a tie. So had it been, what was it, 5-5?
Yeah.
Had it been 6-4. I guess they probably would have waited and done it live at in Television City.
The next time there's a tie on Survivor and they do it this way, then it's going to be really obvious to everybody, and it's going to eliminate the drama. That's Belinda's point. So
she makes a good point. she makes a good point. Another thing that I would add is, and you probably see this too, I get highly annoyed when they're reading off, you know, two votes so and so, two votes so and so, and then they'll say like 3 votes or 4 votes for this guy, 2 votes for this guy, and then they'll say the 7th person kicked off, and you already know when they say those words who it is, right?
Right, yeah.
And there's no real way around that, I guess. I mean, he could say nothing and just boom, hold it up, but there's no real way around that. And I think that the way that they do it is quite good. But yeah, that is a tricky one, Billy, because when it comes down to ties, I mean, did you see the way that my tie was handled?
Yeah, it's been a while, but yeah, I've seen every episode every season. But yeah, it was for you back then the ties were handled with the rock pulls, weren't they? Oh no, past votes. I'm sorry, past votes. Yeah,
and
past votes.
And
right.
You know, in a lot of ways, I felt like they made that up on the spot. and they kind of did. I mean, we sat there for probably 3 hours while they went back and forth discussing, and then they called LA, and I know that they had a long conversation with somebody back in LA.
Wow.
And then they came back to us and said, "Okay, here's how it's going to go. We're going to vote again, but anybody who has received previous votes against them, it'll come down to that." And that's what it came down to. And in a weird way, I felt like, well, that was an obvious way for them to say, Mitchell has to go. You know, like, I don't think that they were gunning. I don't think they were gunning for me in any way. But by saying that, like, they knew that I had only 1 vote cast against me. And the weird thing is, Keith and I and the rest of our tribe had discussed it. We didn't want to make Mad Dog feel like we were all ganging up on her and that she was going to go home. We wanted to kind of spread the vote a little bit. So I think I was the one who said, hey, just somebody throw a vote out there for me. And then it won't.
Oh.
I know. So, like, in the end, totally kicked myself in the pants. But yeah, I guess the point is, like, you don't know how they're going to do this particular ending or a tie vote, or how they're going to handle it, and gosh, obviously it worked against me, but I am very fascinated by the whole tie vote thing. I was also fascinated by the fact that they had 10 jurors. Why would you do that?
I think they've been trying to make a tie for a while.
Here's a simple way: 9, 11, 7.
Yeah. Well, you know, with they could still be a tie with 3 with 3.
You're right.
So, but then
that's their own way of really going, you know, against it. Like, there are ways to avoid a tie.
yeah.
But boy, that was so interesting, Billy. I'm glad that you brought that up, because that is, or whoever, was it Melinda?
Melinda
who brought that up?
Yeah. All right, so let's go to Olga here. She sends love from Israel. Yeah, love from Israel. And she says she wants to know if Mitchell has ever met her favorite past winner recipient.
Absolutely, I have. And you know where I met her? At the U.S. Open.
Whoa!
Yeah. Isn't that funny? I was there with Tina. And as you may or may not know, the U.S. Open is aired on CBS.
Yes.
And so at that time, isn't it funny? Like, you know, the Tonys are also on CBS. And it's funny because, like, nowadays I could probably call CBS and say, hey, it's Mitchell, I want to go to the Tony Awards. And they'd be like, who? And where and why and what. But back then, it was like, hey, it's Mitchell. I kind of want to go to the U.S. Open, and it was like, boom, tickets waiting for you at will call. You know, like it was so simple. And yeah, now things have changed in a big way.
Yeah.
Just so crazy. But yeah, what was Olga's initial question? She was saying,
Just that Giuseppe is her favorite
Giuseppe.
player.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's where I met her. In fact, I have a lovely picture which I can send you of her and I and Tina all meeting at the same time and at the US Open. Yeah. Wonderful experience. I love Giuseppe.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Wesley says, have you interacted much with Cerise since the first time you two met via the Oz Network recap many years ago?
No, I haven't.
All right.
Isn't that kind of weird how that goes? I mean, okay, look at your own season, Billy. Are there certain people that you just flat out have not talked to since the show?
I would say about 2/3 of the cast.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is a big number.
It's a big number. There were 20 of us, yeah.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
you know, people always ask, like, how often do you see them? And are they like family to you? And I'm like, yeah, in a big way they are. Like, some of them I feel closer to than my own family, which is really crazy, isn't it, Billy? But it's true.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly believe that. But yeah, for some of them, you know, I don't think I'll ever communicate with them because it's just we aren't on the same page. But for lots of reasons, I am really, really close to a huge number of them, and why not? You know, I mean,
yeah.
Even you, Billy, like I love you. Like I
love you too.
I feel like I talk to you more than some of my own family. Is that weird?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
But it's so true. Like I usually see you once a year for sure at the Cincinnati benefit. But you know, I think that's more than I see some of my own family for Christmas or whatever else. Like, and so in a big way, I really do appreciate and love this Survivor tight-knit group of people, this family that we all, you know, seem to get along and spend time together and it's like we picked up where we left off and nothing's really changed. Isn't that kind of cool?
Very, very cool. Very cool. One of my favorite aspects of having been on Survivor. Actually.
Absolutely, Billy.
All right, so Latifah, she wants to know, was Tina really pissed that she wasn't included in the Heroes versus Villains cast? She refused to go to the 10-year anniversary party because of it, or wasn't that the case? Like, that's the rumor. She wants to know.
You know, that's a good question.
Yeah, I remember it different, but go ahead. I'll let you.
Tina doesn't hold that kind of a grudge, to be honest with you.
No.
At all.
I think they got the rumor has the person confused.
Yep.
From what I remember, it was Twyla. Twyla is a Spitfire that.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, and when she wasn't included in Heroes vs. Villains, she was very livid. Tina's the type of person that when something doesn't go away, it's heck fire, and then that's the end of it.
That's the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. In a weird way, I could see Tina almost being relieved that she wasn't part of it in a weird way. By no means is she the kind of person who is like, I somehow am upset and need to express that, and
yeah,
that's just not Tina. That's just not her.
I agree.
In any way, and anybody who knows her as well as I know her will give you that same exact answer. That's just not her.
I agree. I think that the rumor got the people confused, and it was Twyla that was upset. And she's the type of person that would express it.
Yep.
She's like I said, she's Spitfire.
She is. Very much so. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. So Miranda wants to know, what is the challenge you most wish you could have competed in during any season, and what do you consider the worst challenge of all time?
Oh wow, Miranda, that is a good question. Well, let's start with the worst challenge. I find those eating challenges to be really awful. You know.
I hear you, man. Even though it spawned a show with Fear Factor, I wouldn't have wanted to do it either. I'll admit it.
It's just not the way to set people off. Yeah, I don't even like watching it. It kind of makes me gag. And I'm just not on board with that type of a challenge in any way at all.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, so I don't love that particular challenge, and they do tend to do it. They overdo it a little bit. They tend to do that one quite often. And then what was the other kind of question along with that is like,
well, what would be the challenge you wish you would have done from any season?
Right.
I don't know. That last maze was pretty cool.
I was just thinking that, like, and I love a good maze. And you know what's weird, Billy? My height gives me an advantage.
Oh yeah!
I kind of have a bird's eye view on any kind of maze.
Wow! Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So I'm pro maze. I have to admit.
All right.
In a lot of ways.
That's a good one, man. Yeah. All right. So Mitch wants to know, who was the biggest diva in your tribe, and if it's somebody different, who was the most annoying?
Okay. Now my tribe was Ogakor, so let me just remind anybody watching that we had Keith, Amber, Jerry,
woohoo,
Mad Dog, myself, Colby, and Tina.
Wow.
So that's it, right?
That's practically an all-star tribe right there.
That's an all-star. That's an all-star tribe, and there is zero question as to who was the most annoying. That is hands down. And I didn't even mention him in my numbering off. Hands down, it is Mr. Beef Jerky. Now.
yeah. There's a lot of stories about Kel. I'm not even sure if I can even mention the story. I hung out with Mad Dog, and she's had a few stories to tell about the beef jerky, especially.
I bet, Billy, that man is off his rocker. I can't even begin to describe how far gone he is. Yeah, he snuck beef jerky in. Like that is something that I mean, this is like exclusive. I'm not even kidding. Like, I can tell you for a fact he snuck beef jerky into Survivor. He sewed it into the shorts of his pants, his shorts. Wow. And without a doubt, he had beef jerky out there. And wow. and then he lied about it, and to this day, if you ask him, he'll say no beef jerky. So that made it even more annoying in a weird way, I guess. But this man was so odd in so many ways. We didn't trust him at night even. Wow. We didn't even want to go to sleep because we didn't know what he had up his sleeve. It was he was a loose cannon, and we didn't know what he was going to do or say or yeah. Yeah, looking back, like he was definitely a strange fella that made things very interesting and difficult for us, without a doubt. And to be honest, here's a weird thing, Billy. We have not talked to that man since the show at all. The end. Nothing.
Well,
Nothing.
what are you gonna talk about? I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Right. What flavor was that beef jerky?
All right.
Was
So,
it teriyaki?
oh,
It's yeah, it's such a strange scenario, but like by no means have we ever tried to chat with him. Nobody has. And maybe that's just the way to do it. I don't know. It's funny when you think back, because Billy, I'm sure that you've thought about like CBS would be smart to do, some kind of a reunion overall, like, and air it, wouldn't they? It would be,
yeah.
like,
Especially now that they have the new All Access app.
with that,
Especially now that they have the new All Access app where every season's on it. So it makes sense, like, to create new content for each season.
right, right, and why not? I mean, it makes total sense to me, and I do think eventually they'll do something.
Yeah.
Right, but yeah, I, they haven't made any attempt to try to connect all of us together, but that man is a strange ranger, and I don't even know what I would say to him if I saw him again, to be honest. I mean, is there anybody, Billy, on your season that you feel the same way about, where it's like, I don't ever want to see that person again, and
Wow.
I have no reason to see that person again?
I'm actually fortunate that there is nobody on my season that I would not want to see again. I'm really
nice.
fortunate in that sense.
Yeah.
My worst enemy on the show, we kind of just chat on Facebook all the time now. That was JP Calderon. Yeah.
Okay.
He and I really butted heads on the show, and now we're the exact opposite, where we support each other. But
Wow.
via social media, because we're on opposite coasts, but still we support each other.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Wow. Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So Sophie Roberts
Okay.
says Laurel's poor edit makes much more sense with how the season finished and ended. It was clearly that the Dom and Wendell show. Yeah, I think we both said that. Boys, how would you have been feeling in Laurel's position to the cast with the first vote tie? Like, how? I guess she wants to know, putting ourselves in Laurel's position, like how we'd felt and what we'd have done in that case.
Okay, so explain that again quickly, Billy. So she wants to know how
we were.
Go ahead.
Yeah, if we were in Laurel's position after the tie vote, like how would we have felt and what would we have done?
Okay. Well, like as a jury member,
yeah, Laurel finds out after the tie vote that the whole thing comes down to who she picks. Like, that's a big burden just thrown on her all of a sudden. After she just found out she's not gonna win, like literally, that second she finds they're calling the votes out, and she knows she's not gonna win, and now she's got to hand the $1 million to somebody else, to one of the two guys.
And again, Billy, that's where it comes down to, where this particular episode or / season was so dynamic because of something like that. Like,
yeah,
can you imagine the weight of that on your shoulders?
Oh yeah,
of being like,
crazy.
Wow, I get to select who gets $1 million. I mean, how would you like that burden?
Wow,
like, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think that's the point of the question: is how would we like the burden?
I know. And I personally would, gosh, if let's face it, Billy, if I felt really equal about both of them and had a pretty solid tie to both of them, oh, that would just be gut-wrenching, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I'm the type of person that has crazy, funny thoughts go through my head in moments like that. And after the internet's gone crazy with the whole "do you hear Yanni or do you hear Laurel" thing,
Yeah,
I'd have tried to figure out like a handwriting version of "do you see Dominic or do you see Wendell?"
Right, right. Oh, you're so right. Oh,
It's messed up, but it's funny.
Yeah, that is just not the way that I would want things to go. That would just be so tough for me.
Yeah, brutal.
But didn't you think that once it came down to that, weren't you like, oh, the end, we know who's gonna win? That's how I felt.
I felt, yeah, because the way the episode was set up to where with the idol going around Laurel's neck and yeah, the way it was set up, I felt like I had Dominic's expression, basically like, oh shit.
Right. There was, to me there was no question. So I'm really happy that it that's kind of how it came down. But gosh, what a tough spot to be put in. And how old was she? Do you know?
Ooh, good question. She definitely wasn't. She didn't. I'm not sure. I don't have the information in front of me, but she's a Yale graduate, so she looked like she just recently graduated. Like it hasn't been like 10 years or something like that. So yeah, I would say mid to late 20s probably.
Yeah. Gosh. Yep. You're right. And what a tough spot to be put in because nobody wants that weight on their shoulders. So
yeah, how do you look at Dominic for the rest of time now?
Right? Right. Isn't that so true?
Yeah.
And for me it was on such a smaller level, but like I was really upset with Tina for a while because she voted for me. I mean, she voted me off, I mean,
right.
That was a hard one to get over for me. So I can't imagine being the one who has to say, I have $1 million check and I'm giving it to you. That's just not a fun spot to be in for anybody. Yeah. So, what a tough position for her.
Yeah, terrible.
I love it.
Yeah, it was fun for us as viewers.
It was fun. Keep going, Billy. Keep going.
So Jillian Smart actually confirmed something that I'd mentioned earlier that I wasn't sure about. She confirms that the first 5 jurors voted for Dominic, and the last 5 to make it on the jury voted for Wendell. Mm-hmm. And then with Wendell, with Laurel being like the 6th, you count her as the 6th. So basically, she's confirming like what I had said earlier, that it came down to Wendell's late game jury management that won it for him.
Yeah.
And she's just confirming that. So appreciate that.
Yeah. So interesting
from
how
Jillian.
that works.
Yep.
So interesting. Wow.
All right. So Sasha Peterschmidt, I love saying her name. Every week I have to say her name. Sasha Peterschmidt. She likes to play this game with everybody that comes on the podcast.
Okay.
Called Kiss, Slap, Hug, or Run Away from the following players.
Okay.
All right. So we're gonna start with a few from the current season before we get to some from your season.
Okay.
So Laurel, who's been in the hot seat all podcast long.
Yep.
Kiss, slap, hug, or run away.
With Laurel, I'm okay with a hug.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jonathan.
I am going to punch him in the face. Is that an option? Is that an option?
Yeah, well, a hard slap gets considered a punch. All right.
Right in the face.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what it is. I don't like him. I don't know.
Angela.
Let me tell you, I'm pro Angela, and I love that she was in the army or some such, and maybe a little bit of a loose tongue, but like really I liked her a lot. And so I'm all about hugging it out with her. I would give her a huge hug.
All right, we're going to get into a few from your season here.
Oh boy.
Mad Dog.
Oh, I love her. I absolutely love that woman. I would kiss, I would hug, I would spoon.
We'll throw it in there just for her.
Sure, I adore Mad Dog.
All right, Kimmy.
Anybody else should too.
Kimmy.
Oh, Kimmy Kappenberg, right?
Yes.
I do love Kimmy.
Oh.
Yeah, I love Kimmy. You know, she had kind of a loud mouth with that accent and all the other business, but there's no reason not to absolutely love and hug and kiss Kimmy.
All right, last one here, Tina.
Adore Tina. Absolutely adore Tina. She's probably the one that I keep in touch with the most next to Jerry.
Wow, okay.
Yep.
Sweet.
So, and you know what? I keep in touch with season 1 more than I keep in touch with season 2. I speak with Joel like maybe every day.
Nice.
And
Joel's a great guy.
Gretchen and I are extremely tight. So that's probably a fun fact that nobody else would really know, that I'm so connected with season 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great though. Yeah. So, Tina, you would give her a hug and a kiss?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And maybe even a reach around.
So we'll throw a slap in the rear end there for her.
Yes, Billy. Yeah.
All right.
By the way, I also keep in touch with Roger. He came and stayed with my husband Mark and I last year for a couple of weeks, and what a great guy, hilarious guy, so wonderful. So Roger and I are very, very tight as well.
He's awesome.
He's great. He is great, Billy.
All right, so Anna wants to know, when was the last time you spoke to Mad Dog?
That's a really great question, Anna. Because it's been, I would say 4 years. And that is,
wow.
And that is not, yeah, and that is not like, any fault of my own. Like,
well, time flies.
Well, yes, but, you know, she's been going through a lot of really tough stuff that, you know, you and I could talk about privately sometime, but, and so it hasn't really worked out, to connect with her and to catch up with her, unfortunately. But, I absolutely adore her and would do anything for her. And so yeah, that's kind of where I end with that. You know, like she's a great person. I love her dearly, but unfortunately we just are not connected, and you know, we just haven't been lately. And like I said, there's a reason which I would talk to you about, but I'm not going to probably say that on here.
Yeah, we'll just say we'll send Mad Dog love in case on the outside chance you happen to see this.
Absolutely, give her all your prayers and love, and without a doubt, she needs that. She absolutely needs that. So, thank you for asking about her, because I adore her.
Yeah. All right, Hilda says Hilda's comment is, Australian Outback is such a classic season of Survivor. Amazing cast. Don't wonder that there's been the most returning players from that season. She wants to know, have you seen Australian Survivor? Because you're from the Australian Outback.
Have I seen the actual series?
Of Australian Survivor, yes.
Because I mean, there is one, and
Yes.
and to be honest, no, I haven't. I do hear that it's actually really well done. It sucks you in just like our own. But I have not been on that side of it to say, yeah, I I'm yeah, I just it's weird. I probably should because I hear great things, but I've never ever watched their particular season. I've seen pictures of them and stuff, but I have not watched them in any way. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, they're aggressive players. I'll give them that.
Are they?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I won't spoil it for you because it's worth watching.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Yeah.
All right. So Gene says, "Well, what do you think of Kimmy on Second Chances? That was the happiest I've ever been to see her go on a stage. I love Kimmy, and have you seen her recently?" That's her. So Kimmy on Second Chances, and have you seen her recently?
Kimmy, we're talking about Kimmy.
Yeah.
Good question. No, I haven't like physically seen her, although we do keep in touch quite well with Facebook, and so again, it kind of comes down to, what, it's like time hasn't really passed because you pick up where you left off and you catch up so quickly, but yeah, I mean, if I saw her in person, which maybe I will because we're going out to that area for a visit, but like if I saw her in person, yeah, it would be like no time at all has passed. Like just like
Nice.
Hug it out, catch up quickly. She's a great person. I mean, she really have you met her?
Yes. Yes.
There's no question.
She's great. Yeah.
She's
great.
She's a gem. She's a keeper.
Yeah, and I was happy to see her on Second Chance.
I was too. Although, don't you think anybody that they would have posted from my season would have made it on there? Like, my season
Yeah.
is a very well watched season. Like, I can't imagine anybody getting being held back and not being put on there, because it was Jeff Barner as well as her, right?
Yes. So, in my opinion, from my season back, you put anybody up there to be fan voted, they'll fill up all the spots.
Yeah.
My season was season 13. It was the last season to garner the big ratings. 18 million an episode was my season. Which pales in comparison to yours, but compared to the episodes now that are now in the 7 million mark, it's I think those seasons back would probably just steal all the spots in any fan voted type situation.
Yep, Billy, I couldn't agree with you more. I think you're right. Yeah. Isn't that weird how
even after all these years?
Yeah, absolutely, Billy.
All right. So Isaac says, will you come to Cincinnati sometime this summer? And what was the other? Do you or your parody song with the show still get recognition from fans today? What's this parody song thing? You want to tell us about it?
The parody song, Billy?
Well, for our fans who don't know, I'm kind of playing dumb here. What's the parody song?
It is without a doubt the song that probably got me on the show. I sang a parody to from The Little Mermaid, Under the Sea. Remember that particular song?
Yes.
And I just literally peppered the whole song with rhymes about Richard Hatch and all the other different players that have made fools of themselves in one way or another. And I spent a significant amount of time writing that song, and then when I went in for my audition, that was one of the first things they said is, sing me this song that I keep hearing so much about. And so I did. And I just remember them laughing and enjoying it. And yeah, So I think that was probably one of those moments that kind of pushed me over the edge a little bit, having that particular advantage of.
For the record, I went to an open casting call, and there was a slew of people trying to rip you off.
Really?
You had a guy with a trumpet trying to rip you off. Another guy with maracas, and everybody was stealing that idea.
Isn't that funny? And you may or may not know this, but after being on Survivor, I did a lot of casting for the Bachelor, the Bachelorette, Wife Swap, What Not to Wear, all those shows. And it's so funny because one of the first things you learn in casting for these big national shows is don't be cliche and don't be so obvious and yeah.
Yeah, don't do a song and dance. Is what
Right. Yeah, don't do it because that's all they see and they get sick and tired of it and they want something original. And so yeah, it's funny because that was one of the first rules. That was like, don't be so cliche. Don't do what everybody kind of expects of you, and try to be original, try to be new, try to be unique. So yeah, that's kind of funny because what a interesting difference from back when we did it, what an interesting difference. How cool.
Yes. So Chris wants to know, considering there have been 9 returnees from Australian Outback, are you surprised or shocked or upset that you're not one of them?
Bound to happen, right? Roger and I are like, at this rate we're bound to be asked, right? It just seems like there's no other way around it. We have to somehow eventually get in there. No, I wouldn't say that I'm that surprised. Although when I look back or when I see these reboots happening of past contestants, I think to myself, gosh, I'm 41 years old. I'm totally out of shape. I can't even imagine trying to make that to actually go back on that show. Like I love the show. I think that you and I both know that I would be game for trying it again, but I just I'm probably not fit or in any way ready. Like, I'm not gonna wear my underpants, Billy. I'm not. I'm just not.
I think the show would sue me if I walked around in my underwear.
It's so weird how that's the new thing, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, years ago, people would always say to me, and they've probably done this to you too, is, would you do the show again? And for years and years and years, I said no. I said I've done enough, and I'm not interested in reliving that like right now. And in the last couple of years, Billy, and maybe you agree with me, I'm kind of on board now. I'm like, I could do it. Like, when I did it, I was 21 years old. I had never been through a marriage, a divorce, anything really. And so I kind of always thought, like, I'm so naive and just so I don't know. It wasn't for me. But then you look at somebody like Tina, who won my season, and she had been through divorce. She had been through all kinds of drama and cliches, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I feel like, had I been through that, I think I would have been a stronger player. I just remember looking at the season, the rest of the cast, and thinking, I'm not ready to vote this person off. Like I like them too much. They're a good friend to me. I'm not ready to say, yeah, you're out of here. It just wasn't fit for me. So now at the age of 41, I really do think, and Billy, maybe you agree, I really do think I could play this game and I could play it really quite well, and kind of look at everybody else like, screw it. Like I'm ready. I could vote you off because I don't really have much of a connection to you. And let's face it, in a few weeks after the show, we could be close friends still.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that you can still
then I was like, gosh, if I vote for this person, we'll never speak again, and it'll be such drama and all this stuff. But no, nowadays it's like, yeah, do what you want. And
yeah, it's different today.
it's so different. So I think now I could be a much, much better contender and a much stronger participant than back when I initially played the game for the first time.
Yeah, when we played back in the old school, like making an alliance with this group of people and then making an alliance with that group of people, you were like the biggest a-hole of the season.
Yeah.
Today you're not even trying if you don't make an alliance with this group and with that.
No,
group.
you're right. And isn't that funny how you would kind of look at that and you'd be like, I don't want America to think that I'm a dick.
Exactly.
I don't want America to think that I'm an awful person. But now you look back and you're like, nobody's gonna really care. Like if you don't play hardball, you're gonna look like a dick.
Exactly.
You almost have to kind of play that game a little bit. And so now I could do it. I could do it much better now than previously. Just plain and simple.
Yeah, I agree. I agree that they should give some of us old schoolers a shot.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Granny Survivor's question ties into that.
Okay.
Her question is, how would Billy and Mitchell go on a season together? Like, what would we be like together on the same season? On probably the same tribe.
Billy, I would. Well, that's the other weird thing about this show is because now we've done events like the Cincinnati event and all these different things where we're connected.
Yes.
So how strange to go on a show and be like, okay, now I'm really playing this game where I might have to vote against you and I might have to take you out. Like, gosh, isn't that so crazy to think about? Like, I would hate that. I really would. Like,
I think you and I would turn the season into a comedy. The producers will be tired of, especially of my antics. They'll be like, all right, Billy, we got a game to run here. Do you mind?
I agree wholeheartedly. They would be so annoyed with us. We'd be just laughing and having fun. But, like, if it came down to it, oh, man, wouldn't we have a tough time? Like, just, like, looking at each other and saying, I got to vote for you?
Yeah, I would have a tough time. I would find I would be like, you know what, man? Who says we have to vote for each other?
Right.
There's 3 spots at the end.
Right.
There's going to be an extra spot.
Right. Exactly.
Spot. So let's let them duke it out for the extra spot.
But isn't that so funny? Because that is so not how you're supposed to play it.
Yeah, well, you and I are rule breakers anyways.
Exactly. That's how I would kind of look at it. I would be like, I can't vote for you. I can't put myself in that spot. And that's how I would feel about, others too. Like, I would just be like, this isn't the right time. This isn't the right, I don't know. Gosh.
Yeah, I would take a piece of driftwood. I would take a piece of driftwood, throw it in our campfire, and say, this is symbolically Richard Hatch's book on how to play Survivor. We just burned it. Now let's just invent the whole new way that we can enjoy ourselves and live with the results.
Right.
Who says we have to play it that way?
And you should be able to to kind of do your own thing and to make it laugh and make it, you know, and to have fun with it. But God, what a tough thing to do, you know, at this stage. I would love to be the one guy who came back from all the other people and be the and be the only contender who's already played the game with 15 or whatever newbies. Yeah, bring it on. Like I'm happy to take out strangers. Happy.
Yeah, a la Boston Robin and Russell Hantz that what season was Redemption Island?
Yes.
Where they were the only two returning players and everybody else was brand new. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring that on. I can do that. But yeah, I just I'm not ready for you know, for people that I already know and have worked with and love and care about, and I'm just not ready to try to take them out.
We could always handle it this way. We can say all of us that are old school and have known each other for a long time stick together. All the new guys, I'm sorry. we don't know you as well. We don't know you as well. Sorry. It just
that's the other thing too.
You pulled the shortest straw.
Too, like, don't you feel like I mean, there are particular seasons that I just never watched.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, that helps the situation for you.
It does. But yeah, there are certain seasons that I just never really got into, and that would be fine. But oh boy, yeah. You make a good point there. Like I'm all about voting for a stranger. I'm not okay with voting for you.
Thank you.
You know,
there you go. So we'll just have to stick together, ride or die to the end.
Right.
All right. So it's time for our Survivor trivia game.
Oh, good.
All season long, we've been playing it with all our guests. I'm gonna give you a rundown of the standings here.
Okay.
It's 5 questions, true or false.
Okay.
And with the 4-1 record, Matt Bischoff, who we mentioned earlier, Matt the Beard, and Anthony Robinson from Fiji are at 4-1. At 3-2 is Figgy, Brian Corden from Guatemala, and Eric Reisenbach, who we mentioned earlier.
Mm-hmm.
At 2-3, Sharia Lloyd, Tanya Vance from Thailand.
I love Tanya.
Yes, she's awesome. And Sari. So that's 2-3. At 1-4 is Sunday. That was last week. And at 0-5, unfortunately, Joe Mina. Joe Mina at 0-5.
Well, get ready to add me to that list, and I'm not even kidding at all.
All right. So keep in mind again that all of these are true and false.
Okay.
Here we go.
I'm ready.
All right. A closed final jury vote for a winner has occurred 8 times in the history of the show.
A closed final jury vote for a winner. Is that what you said?
Yes. Has occurred 8 times in the history of the show.
I'm going to say true.
You are correct. You're 1-0. So you're off the schneid off the bat. All right, off the bat.
Can you imagine I ace the whole thing? Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, that would be awesome. That would be awesome.
That would be.
All right. Question number 2.
Okay.
The Oceania region is not the most visited continent on American Survivor.
True.
Is not the most original. All right, you said true.
Right. That throws you for a little bit of a loop, doesn't it?
Yeah, the not.
Right, the not part. Okay, I'll say false.
All right, false. It actually is with 15 seasons in that region.
Oh, wow.
A ton with Fiji that we're having in a row here. A ton in Samoa. I was in the Cook Islands. It's been used quite a bit. Vanuatu, many, quite a bit, more than any other. It's all right. You're 2-0. You're 2-0.
Okay.
All right. We got another old school question here, which is good.
Yeah.
The 4th most watched season in the show's history in TV rating was Thailand. the fourth most watched.
The fourth most watched season. And Thailand was season 5, right?
Yes.
How did I know that?
That's good.
I know.
Well,
I always say those first 5 seasons were quite well watched. I mean, they just were. Especially by me. So I'm going to say true on that one.
You are correct. 3-0. 3-0. The answer is Outback was number 1. I'm sure you knew that already.
Yes.
Borneo was number 2.
Okay.
All Stars was number 3.
Oh.
Thailand was 4 and Palau was 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with myself.
Yeah, you're doing great. 3-0. All right, question number 4 here. Another old school question. So this is good for you. This is good for you. Kim Johnson is the oldest contestant to win Final Immunity Challenge.
Okay, to win
the final
immunity challenge.
Yes. Individual immunity.
I'm going to say false on that because I feel like Rudy and even I feel like there's some others who may be ahead of her on that, but I could be totally wrong. I'm just going to say no. I think that's false.
So that's false that Kim is... All right. Unfortunately, it's true. Rudy lost. Remember,
he did.
Kelly Wigglesworth won that, and that's how she got in the end. And he called that the $1 million blunder where he let go of the... Yeah, unfortunately. So okay,
that's all
so
right.
You're 3-1. You can still tie for first. You can still tie for first with Matt and Anthony if you get this next one. Last question. All right. Speaking of which, the hands on an idol is the most. Go ahead.
I was going to say, remember, I thought I would get 0 right. So
yes, true.
Being 1 correct, I'm so happy.
Yeah.
So go ahead, start again. I missed the beginning.
All right. The hands on a hard idol is the most often used Final Immunity Challenge, having been used 6 times in Survivor history. Okay,
you're going to have to ask that one again, because I'm confused on that one. Go ahead.
All right. The hands on the hard idol is the most often used Final Immunity Challenge, having been used 6 times in Survivor history.
Okay. That's where they have to hold on to something and not fall down or fall asleep.
Yeah.
Whatever else.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say true. I feel like that's such a crazy way of handling that finale. But I'm just gonna say that that's happened a few times. So I'm just gonna say true.
Unfortunately, it's false. It was used 4 times though, but it's false. Yeah, those early seasons they used it, and then they've gotten far away from that, and they've started to use a lot of these build a stuff challenges, like the one we used today with the build the ball challenge, and then so the later seasons have completely blown that out the water.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
You're tied for second place at 3-2.
Yay!
So I want to officially announce Matt Bischoff and Anthony Robinson as the winners, the co-winners of. Hey, we need to get Laurel in here to break this tie. Where's Laurel? We need to come in here and break this tie between Matt Bischoff and Anthony Robinson.
Right, I agree totally.
Where's Laurel? All right. It's ironic we ended with a tie.
Right, of course, with me, of course.
Yeah.
Always tying.
Hey, we had the question earlier, if you were Laurel. So if you were Laurel, who would you pick between Matt Bischoff and Anthony Robinson?
Definitely Matt. I love Matt.
There you go.
I love Matt. Oh, he's a gem. Yeah. What a fun guy.
So Anthony Robinson gets Dominic in this episode, and Matt Robinson pulls off the window
Right.
with the win for the season. All right, Matt.
Right.
Well, thank you so much, Mitchell, for coming on my podcast.
Thank you, Billy. This has been a treat. I love it. I never really get to chat with you much, and I mean, always on those Cincinnati benefits and stuff, I get to hang out with you. But like I said, this year just didn't work out time-wise for me, so I'll miss you there, and
I'll miss you too.
Yeah, and good luck with the rest of these. How often do you do these podcasts?
This is my first season doing it for the Oz Network.
Okay.
This is my very first season, yeah. So
okay, that's
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hopefully, me and Colin were talking about reviewing all of the Cobra Kai's like in individual episodes. So hopefully we'll get that going in the Oz Network in the near future.
Right. Right.
So you got to go watch them before we review them because they will spoil them.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I saw on Facebook today somebody was like, way to spoil the ending of Survivor for me. And then like Kobe Archo was like, dude, like just don't go on Facebook. Like we didn't spoil anything. Like it was live. So, yeah, the chances are strong that if you go on Facebook, you're probably going to see the name of the winner. Like you only have yourself to blame here.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
But what a fun chance to hang out. I actually, I never Skype. That's why I'm using my husband's Skype name, but I never really get a chance to Skype. So what a cool way of hanging out and having a great time and getting to see you and yeah,
totally awesome.
You asking me, so thank you, so much, Billy. Yeah,
my pleasure. And thank all of you who've been listening, watching to the Survivor Ghost Island finale recap.
Thank you for listening to the Oz Network. Don't forget to subscribe to get new episodes delivered to your speakers every week. For more information, hit us up at theoznetwork.net.